and welcome to the session on Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences. Dr. Howard Gardner, a psychologist and professor of neuroscience from Harvard University, developed the theory of multiple intelligence or MI in 1983. The theory challenged traditional beliefs in the field of education and cognitive science. Unlike the established understanding of intelligence, people are born with a uniform cognitive capacity that can be easily measured by short answer tests. MI reconsiders our educational practice of the last century and provides an alternative. Howard Gardner, a life sketch. Howard Gardner was born in Scranton, Pennsylvania in 1943. In order to make a career in law, he joined Harvard University. However, he was lucky enough to have Erik Erikson as a tutor. In Harvard, in Gardner's words, Erikson probably sealed his ambition to be a scholar. He entered Harvard's doctoral program in 1966 and in the following year became the part of the Project Zero research team on arts. Howard Gardner completed his PhD in 1971. He remained at Harvard. Alongside his work with Project Zero, he was a lecturer and then professor in education. His first major work, The Shattered Mind, appeared in 1975 and some 15 have followed. Project Zero provided an environment in which Howard Gardner could begin to explore his interest in human cognition. He proceeded in a very difficult direction to the dominant discourses associated with Piaget and with psychometric testing. Project Zero developed as a major research center for education and provided an intellectual home for significant grouping of researchers. A key moment came with the establishment of the Project on Human Potential in the late 1970s to assess the state of scientific knowledge concerning human potential and its realization. In 1981, Gardner was awarded a MacArthur Prize Fellowship in support of Project Zero at Harvard University. An announcement of the award quoted Gardner as saying early in his career that he had been a committed Piagetian, but as he pursued his own studies, he came to view Piaget's theories as too narrow a notion of how the human mind works. He noted further that he did not believe there was one form of cognition which cuts across all human thinking. There are multiple intelligences with autonomous intelligence capacities. This statement heralded the writing of his book Frames of Mind, which was published in 1983. Gardner claimed the most previous conceptualizations of intelligence had been too narrowly based. He argued that evidence from several different sources pointed to the existence of several intelligences. According to Gardner, intelligence is much more than IQ because a high IQ in the absence of productivity does not equate to intelligence. In terms of his definition, intelligence is a biopsychological potential to process information that can be activated in a cultural setting to solve problems or creates products that are of value in a culture. Consequently, instead of intelligence being a single entity described psychometrically with an IQ score, Gardner's definition views it as many things. He endeavored to define intelligence in a much broader way than did the psychometricians. To achieve this goal, Gardner establishes several criteria for defining intelligence. In identifying capabilities to be considered for one of the multiple intelligence, the construct under consideration had to meet 8 criteria rather than resting on the results of a narrow psychometric approach. To qualify as intelligence, The particular capacity under study was considered from multiple perspectives consisting of 8 specific criteria to consider candidate intelligences are: the potential for brain isolation by brain damage, its place in evaluation history, the presence of core operation, susceptibility to encoding, a distinct developmental progression, the existence of idiot savants, prodigies and other exceptional people, support from experimental psychology and support from psychometric findings. From the above criteria, Gardner initially formulated a list of 7 intelligences. In 1999, he added Naturalistic Intelligence as the 8th. He has also considered inclusion of Existential Intelligence as a 9th intelligence in his theory. The first 2 have been typically valued in schools. The next 3 are usually associated with the arts. The next 2 are what Gardner calls personal intelligences, while the newly added final 2 are related to aesthetics and philosophical views of life. Types of multiple intelligences. Let us learn the 9 types of multiple intelligences developed by Gardner. 1. Verbal or linguistic intelligence. This area has to do with words spoken or written. People with verbal linguistic intelligence display a facility with words and languages. This type of human intelligence is responsible for all kinds of linguistic competence, abilities, talents and skills. It can be best broken down into components like syntax, semantics and pragmatics, as well as more school oriented skills such as written or oral expression and understanding. This type of intelligence is most visible in professionals like lawyers, writers, lecturers and a number of other professionals exploiting linguistic intelligence. They are typically good at reading, writing, telling stories and memorizing words along with dates. They tend to learn best of reading, listening to lectures, taking notes via discussion and debate. They are also frequently skilled at explaining, teaching and persuasive speaking. This intelligence is high in writers, lawyers, philosophers, journalists, politicians and teachers. Skills include speaking, writing, listening, storytelling, explaining, teaching, using humor, understanding the syntax and meaning of words, remembering, convincing someone of their point of view, analyzing language use, flow and fluency of words, using appropriately words and language, etc. Possible career interests: poet, writer, teacher, lawyer, journalist, politician, translator, etc. Logical or mathematical intelligence. It consists of the capacity to reason deductively, analyze problems logically, carry out mathematical operations and investigates issues scientifically. This intelligence is most often associated with scientific and mathematical thinking, while it is often assumed that those with this intelligence naturally excel in mathematics, chess, computer programming and other logical or numerical activities. Many scientists, mathematicians, engineers, doctors and economists function in this level of intelligence. In our military, the government has used this intelligence in war with the precision of finding enemy targets with mathematical calculations. Individuals with strong logical intelligence seek order, reason, scientifically identify a relationship like completing puzzles, excel at calculating numbers, analyze abstract ideas and manipulate function. Like linguistic intelligence, this is highly valued in the traditional classroom. Skills include problem solving, classifying, categorizing, find out the relationship, handling long chains of reason, doing controlled experiments, performing complex mathematical calculations, working with geometric shapes, interpreting and appreciating number patterns and combination, etc. Possible career interests are the following: engineers, scientists, computer programmers, researchers, accountants, mathematicians. 3. Visual or spatial intelligence. This type of intelligence is concerned with the abilities, talents and skills involving the representation and manipulation of spatial configuration and relationship. Many of us as adults make use of this kind of intelligence in the sphere of our work. For example, painters may be seen to demonstrate spatial intelligence through their use of space when applying pigments to canvas. This is also true of professionals like architects, engineers, land surveyors, mechanics, navigators, sculptors and chess players who are found to rely upon the spatial intelligence in their own way. Individuals with strong spatial intelligence exhibit heightened ability to assess information based on principles of design and aesthetic. They solve problems using spatial orientation, think in divergent ways, seeing the possibilities before engaging them in the physical world, and so sharp ability for creating, building, arranging and decorating. Skills include puzzle building, studying charts and graphs direction, sketching, painting, creating visual metaphors and analogies, manipulating images, constructing, designing, practically using objects and interpreting visual images. Careers are navigators, sculptors, visual artists, architects, engineers, interior designers and painters. 4. Bodily kinesthetic intelligence. This type of intelligence is concerned with the set of abilities, talents and skills involved in using one's body on its various parts to perform skillful and purposeful movement. It entails the potential of using one's whole body or parts of the body to solve problems. It is the ability to use mental abilities to coordinate bodily movements. Individuals with a strong kinesthetic intelligence internalize information through bodily sensation, respond quickly and intuitively to physical stimulus, demonstrates well developed motor skills and strive to learn by doing. They may enjoy acting or performing, and in general they are good at building and making things. They often learn best by physically doing something rather than reading or hearing about it. They have a good sport sense and balance and eye-hand coordination. Skills include dancing, physical coordination, sports, hands-on experimentations, using body language, crafts, acting, miming, smooth and rhythmic movements, etc. Careers are the following: athletes, dancers, actors, physical education teachers, firefighters, circus artists, army men, etc. 5. Musical or rhythmic intelligence. This type of intelligence covers the abilities, talents and skills pertaining to one's capacity for pitch discrimination, sensitivity to rhythm, texture or timbre, ability to hear themes in music and in its most integrated forms, and the production of music through performance on composition. It is visible in a quite large proportion in professionals like musicians and composers. It involves skills in the performance, composition and appreciation of musical patterns. It encompasses the capacity to recognize and compose musical pitches, tones and rhythms. According to Gardner, musical intelligence runs in an almost structurally parallel to linguistic intelligence. Individuals with a strong musical intelligence show heightened listening ability, seek patterns in new information, responds to rhythm in language and use patterning to both internalize and recall skills, ideas and concepts. Skills are the following: singing, composing music, whistling, playing instruments, recognizing tunes, remembering melodies and listening music. Career are the following: singer, musician, composer, etc. Intrapersonal intelligence. This type of intelligence consists of an individual's abilities to enable him to know his self. It includes knowledge and understanding of one's own cognitive strengths, styles and mental functioning, as well as one's feeling, range of emotions and skills to utilize one's fund of knowledge in practical situations. In brief, intrapersonal intelligence helps an individual to understand his own self by providing an insight into his total behavior, what he feels, thinks or does. It is therefore said to be the most private of the intelligence that a person possesses on account of its secret and private nature. The access to this type of intelligence in an individual is available only through self-expression, that is language, musical, visual art and similar other forms. In Gardner's view, it involves having an effective working model of ourselves and to be able to use such information to regulate our lives. They are usually highly self-aware and capable of understanding their own emotions, motivations and goals. Skills include recognizing strength and weakness, desires and dreams, reflecting and analyzing themselves, awareness of inner feelings, evaluating their thinking patterns, reasoning with themselves and understanding their role in relation to others. Career interests, philosophers, researchers, theorists, religious workers, etc. 7. Interpersonal intelligence. It is concerned with the capacity to understand the intentions, motivations and desires of other people. It allows people to work effectively with others. Individuals with a strong interpersonal intelligence show heightened capacity to jointly complete tasks with others, willingness to offer and accept input, ability to persuade others, and awareness and concern for others, a skill for meaningfully relating to others, seek the support of a group, enjoy collaborative work and display a winning personality. The knowledge and understanding of others is a quality that needed for social interaction in one's day-to-day life. Individuals who possess this intelligence, Gardner believes, are able to work successfully with diverse people. Educators need a highly developed interpersonal intelligence as well as business people, counselors and leaders in religion and politics too. Skills include seeing things from another person's perspective, patient listening, empathizing, understanding others' moods and feelings, counseling, cooperating with groups, building trust, noticing people's motivations and intentions, communicating both verbally and non-verbally, arriving at peaceful resolution for conflicts and establishing positive relations with other people. Careers are the following: counselors, politicians, business persons, social workers, salespersons, volunteers of social service organizations, etc. 8. Naturalistic intelligence. It enables human beings to recognize, categorize and draw upon certain features of the environment. Students with a strong naturalist intelligence are intrinsically organized, demonstrate empathy with nature, like to make collections of materials, enjoy sorting and organizing materials, and respond to semantic mapping activities. This area has to do with nature, nurturing, and relating information to one's natural surroundings. This is the 8th type of intelligence added to the theory in 1999. This type of intelligence was not part of Gardner's original theory of MI. Those with it are said to have greater sensitivity to nature and their place within it, the ability to nurture and grow things, and greater is to caring for taming and interacting animals. They may also be able to understand changes in weather or similar fluctuations in the natural surroundings. They are also good at recognizing and classifying different species. Naturalists learn best when the subject involves collecting and analyzing or is closely related to something prominent in nature. They also do not enjoy learning unfamiliar or seemingly useless subjects with little or no connections to nature. Skills include closely observing all the natural phenomena in the immediate environment and later in distant places, internalizing all the salient attributes of various natural phenomena, constructing mental images of natural phenomena, identifying various plants, animals and other creatures, and classifying classes and categories. Careers are the following: agriculturist, botanist, gardener, geologist, archaeologist, organizer of nurseries for plants, pets, etc. 9. Existential intelligence. It is the ability to be sensitive to or have the capacity for conceptualizing or tackling deeper or larger questions about human existence, such as the meaning of life, why are we born, why do we die, what is consciousness, or how did we get here. It involves having a heightened capacity to appreciate and attend to the cosmological enigmas that define the human condition and exceptional awareness of the metaphysical, ontological and epistemological mysteries that have been a perennial concern for people of all cultures. Existential intelligence might be manifested in someone who is concerned with the fundamental questions about existence. Individuals who exhibit the productivity to pose and ponder questions about life, death and ultimate realities possess this intelligence. Skills include existential thinking, and careers are the following: philosopher, saints, etc. Evaluation of the theory. Howard Gardner's work around multiple intelligences has had a profound impact of thinking and practice in education. His theory has wide implications in the field of teaching and learning. For example, if you are teaching or learning about the law of supply and demand in economics, you might read about it. Linguistic, study mathematical formulas that express it. Logical mathematical, examine a graphic chart that illustrates the principle, that is spatial, and then utilize all information into your teaching program. One of the interesting characteristics of Gardner's theoretical approach is that several of the intelligences are not specifically cognitive in nature. The concept of multiple intelligences can be quite useful in investigating specialized functions or clinical cases of mental dysfunctions. The major objection to the concept, however, is that an excessive importance is placed on the independence of these intelligences from one another and divides human beings on the basis of a new typology. In fact, the brain and indeed the human being act as a whole, and no one mental activity can be truly independent of another. Gardner's theory has also been criticized by many psychologists on several grounds. The fundamental criticism of this theory are the belief by scholars that each of the 9 multiple intelligences are in fact a cognitive style rather than a stand-alone construct. Hunt criticizes Gardner's theory on the ground that theory of multiple intelligences cannot even be evaluated by the canons of science until it is made specific enough to generate measurement models. M. W. Eysenck remarked that there are grounds for doubting that he has identified different intelligences rather than different abilities. As Sternberg and French pointed out, it seems strange to describe someone who is tone deaf or physically uncoordinated as unintelligent. As Sternberg and French pointed out, it seems strange to describe someone who is tone deaf or physically uncoordinated as unintelligent. Other criticism includes the notion that theory of multiple intelligence is not empirical, is incompatible with heritability and environmental influences, and broadens the construct of intelligence so widely as to render it meaningless. Gardner's multiple intelligence theory can be used for curriculum development, planning instruction, selection of course activities, and related assessment strategies. Instruction which is designed to help students develop their strengths can also trigger their confidence to develop areas in which they are not as strong. Students' multiple learning preferences can be addressed when instruction includes a range of meaningful and appropriate methods, activities, and assessment. However, we can conclude by following the contentions of Das that it can certainly be stated that the different types of intelligence included in Gardner's system of multiple intelligences is consistent with investigations of distinct talents and skills in individuals. Let us summarize what we have discussed so far. The chapter provides a detailed analysis of the concept of multiple intelligences enunciated by Howard Gardner. The theory suggests that traditional notion of intelligence based on IQ testing is far too limited. Instead, he proposed 9 different intelligences to account for a broader range of human potential in children and adults. He proposes that people use 7 or 9 relatively autonomous intellectual capacities to approach problems and create products. These include linguistic, musical, logical, mathematical, spatial, bodily, kinesthetic, interpersonal, intrapersonal, naturalistic and existential intelligences. Each of them is discussed in detail. A critical evaluation of the theory is also highlighted in this chapter. Now we can try to answer the questions given here. Critically examine Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences. Evaluate the importance of Gardner's approach in the explanation of intelligence. Explain the 8 specific criteria for the formulation of multiple intelligences. What is existential intelligence? Describe. What are the educational implications of Gardner's theory? Hope that you may go through these reference books for further understanding. Human Intelligence, Its Nature and Assessment by H. J. Butcher, Methuen, London in the year 1968. Frames of Mind, The Theory of Multiple Intelligences, Howard Gardner, Basic Books, New York in the year 1983. Educational Psychology by J. H. Savre and C. Telford, Prentice Hall of India, New Delhi in the year 1964. Thank you for watching this program. We can meet again with another topic. Have a nice day.